Alright, this is a video response. Well, not really a response because YouTube fucking sucks now. Won't let us do fucking response videos. But this is a reply to Rail Dross's why did rap basically take over rock and all that bullshit. And you know, it never really took over rock because for like some of the reasons he said and for some of the reasons that, you know, some people believe. All right, what happened was Columbine basically did this shit. Columbine basically made it so, you know, a lot of soccer moms, parents, and politicians complained about rock music because those fucking stupid ass kids, Eric and Dylan, I don't even care about their last names, but because those stupid kids in Colorado, they were basically huge fans of Marilyn Manson, 9 Inch Nails, and you know, they played games like Doom, which had a heavy metal soundtrack to it, you know, and like demons in the game. They wanted to blame it on rock music, metal music, and video games. That was their agenda. Instead of saying, you know what, these kids were fucked up, they were taking antidepressants, you know, they had too much shit to deal with at school, they were depressed, they should have got some kind of help. But you know, or they should have been put in an asylum if it ever, like, for what they did. They should have been put in a fucking asylum before this shit could have even happened back in the late 90s, in 1999. But like I said before, 1999 was when rock and metal started to decline in the mainstream. Alright, it was 1990. I remember it clearly because, and let me just get this out of the way. A lot of people like to pretend that rap was just as big in the 90s as rock and metal. That is not the case at all. Alright, that is not the case. It was no. First of all, rock, metal were way bigger than rap in the 90s. Much bigger. Alright, and I include like rock in general, like all types of rock, from metal to grunge to all types of shit. Industrial rock was way more popular and way more accepted in the 90s than rap music was. And I remember, and if you don't believe me, go get a time machine and go back in time. Alright, all this talk about Tupac and Biggie and all this other shit, you know, first of all, that's just like people who want to claim that they're Dr. Martin Luther King fans. Alright, when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was making his I Have a Dream speech, there weren't that many white people who were inspired by him and thought that he was this great man and stuff like that. There were a lot of white people who hated him at the time. Alright, even after he did the I Have a Dream speech, alright, there were a lot of people who were happy that he was shot and killed. Alright, there was a lot of white people and even some black people that were happy, like Uncle Ruckus type black people who were happy that he was killed. Alright, so when people always want to say like, oh man, I love black people, I love Dr. Martin Luther King, I love rap music, a lot of the times they're fake as shit. They're either fake, and some of them are even just stupid, because some of these stupid suburban white kids who praise like rap music and stuff like that, knowing how fucked up it is, and they still praise it, you gotta really ask them what goes through their mindset that they actually like this shit. Why the fuck, if they are lucky enough to live in a suburban neighborhood where it's quiet and peaceful, and you know, they can listen to other types of music, they don't have to try to act like wiggers and dumbasses and have such shitty taste, shitty standards, and yet they praise the trashiest stuff. Alright, that's stupid. Alright, that's fucking stupid. That's why I hate wiggers. But you know, they always you always get some stupid ass white kid from like the country or the suburbs who's always overhyping Biggie and Tupac and stuff like that, and like some shitty rap. I'm like, get the fuck out of my face. I'm just like, get the fuck out of my face, man. Alright, most of these motherfuckers that listen to rap, they don't give a shit about black people in general. They just want to be ghetto because they're bored of this suburban lifestyle. They just want to be hood. They just want to be ghetto. They want to be ratchet just because, for stupid reasons. All right, they're not real people. They're not. Some of them aren't even smart people. A lot of them aren't smart people. But I mean, that's just my take on it. Because in the 90s, rap was not as big as rock. It was not. All right, that is a lie. It did not become big until the 2000s. All right, all this shit about Biggie and Tupac, yeah, they were popular, but they were popular in black communities. There was very few white people that actually listened to like a lot of rap in the 90s. It wasn't until Eminem got big that it really started, shifting the turns. A lot more white people started getting into rap. It wasn't until Eminem and Insane Clown Posse that started to happen. Alright, rock in the beginning and even up until the end of the 90s was just way more popular on average. Like, on average, it was way more popular. You didn't even see, like, movie trailers with, like, rap music in them like you do nowadays. Alright, every fucking movie trailer had, like, 9 Inch Nails in the trailer. They had some punk rock song. They had, like, some industrial metal or, like, and it was a very... 90s was rock. Even when you saw like commercials of people partying back then, they were always playing rock music. If you ever saw like any of these movies where like teens got the house to themselves and stuff like that, and they wanted to throw like house parties and stuff like that in their parents' house or whatnot, they were always blasting rock music. They weren't blasting rap. Alright, so that's people. As far as like you guys saying that rap was just as popular in the 90s as rock music, no, that's not true. That needs to be like put to rest. That needs to be put to bed, because it wasn't. All right, white people were not going to the clubs in the 90s like that. All right, it was not it was like some were, but it was not on like a huge margin like that. The clubs white people were going to in the 90s were like raves and stuff. They weren't going to like hip hop, urban clubs like that. Like what a lot like now, like what they do now today. Okay, it was not that liberal back then. Even though we had Clinton as president, it was not like this open-minded thing like what it is today. All right. That's what people need to realize. And if you don't believe me, go get a time machine and look for yourself. Go look at old commercials on YouTube. Like, go on Retro Drunk and stuff like that. You'll see, like, a lot of rock music in a lot of these commercials. And a lot of people trying to be extreme, and edgy and stuff like that. That rap was not that big in the night. It was big, to a certain extent. But it was never like what rock music was in the 90s. Alright, it wasn't until Insane Clown Posse, ICP, and Eminem, Slim Shady, whatever you want to call them, became popular. That's when rap music started to increase in the white culture. But I just wanted to get that off my chest. This video, like, to me though, I just want to state my opinions right now, man. Rock and metal are way fucking better than rap music, though. I mean, it's not even like a contest to me personally. And the only reason they became popular, like rap music started becoming like hugely popular, was because Columbine, rock music had to water itself down, so kids had to find a new edgy form of music. And rap wasn't being targeted like that. It started to get targeted like that. And you had too many stupid ass people who were praising dumbass shit. I mean, if you could tell me that a person who would praise rappers being ghetto, sagging their pants and shooting other people, if you think that that's cool, then I question your intelligence. I question you as a person, because that's not cool. That's stupid. It's stupid when even rock and metal musicians do it. Like when Dimebag Darrell died and somebody shot him on stage. That was stupid. Who the fuck did that? They were stupid. I don't know what went on. And like, even if you look at like, like stuff like Tim from As I Lay Dying, he's in trouble with the law, but the mainstream media never posts that shit. They never talk about that shit. You know, they always talk about when like rappers are in trouble, like or like people who make like R&B music are in trouble, like Chris Brown, or you know, they talk about like, you know, they either have to be really white or really black to get mainstream media attention. And when I mean really white, I'm talking about like pop music. I'm talking like pop stars like Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears, Miley Cyrus, Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, all those fucking people, all those fucking types of people. And you know, it's same thing with the black community. Like let's say if, you know, Howard Jones or LeJean from Seven Dust, if they got in trouble with the law, or like Adam from Oshino, which nobody knows who Oshino is. Like, it's like that's another problem with the metal community, because we don't want our shit to be mainstream. Well, I want it to be mainstream, but a lot of these other dumbass people don't want it to be mainstream, and their reason is kind of dumb, because it wouldn't be watered down if it was mainstream. Okay, now let me, like, if that was the case, then rap music would be watered down. All right, do you see rappers basically turning into John Cena's? No, they're still rapping about drugs and hoes and bitches and shooting niggas and all that dumb shit. All right, that's what sells. So they wouldn't water down metal if metal became mainstream again. All right, that was like, and plus you have to keep in mind that Columbine happened 15 years ago. That was 15 years ago, and you know, rock and metal hasn't been the same since that time. It started to get watered down ever since that time, because you had soccer moms and, you know, record labels and stuff like that saying, you know, we got to tone it down. And even there were some bands who like said, fucking want to get, like, you still had like Slipknot, you know, releasing Iowa. You know, you still had Slayer releasing their you know, God Hates Us All album. But you know, you look at those bands now and they've pretty much declined in popularity as well. And you know, you look at some bands like Bullet for My Valentine, you know, you got Lamb of God, you got Killswitch, you got a few other bands, you know, but even those bands that are popular, they're not on that they're not like popular compared to like Nicki Minaj and Lil Wayne and stuff like that, or Justin Bieber or Drake or all those fucking people. They're not on that level, and I want it to be on that level, because it wouldn't get, okay, first of all, again, if mainstream forces you to water down your stuff, then why would Nicki Minaj make a fucking song called Looking Ass Niggas with Malcolm X on her fucking album cover? Like, if that's pretty offensive and fucked up. Alright? And yeah, I know she's targeting toward the black community and no one gives a shit about the black community anymore, but still, like, you would think that there would be more controversy surrounding that topic. Alright? I mean, Nicki Minaj is basically a stupid ghetto hood rat with no talent, you know, who dresses up like a fake ass Barbie doll. And if that doesn't have to be watered down, if that, like, seriously, if that doesn't have to be watered down, then why should metal? You know, there's the logic there. You know, why should metal be watered down if that shit that is claiming to be music, if all this rap music, all this Justin Bieber type shit, all this Miley Cyrus twerking, if all of that is acceptable in the mainstream, why the fuck does rock and metal have to water itself down? That makes no sense. Obviously, these metalheads are wrong for saying that, because it wouldn't be watered down. It would be acceptable again. It would be like old times, back when rock and metal used to be mainstream. You know, and I put this band, Chimera, this is my favorite band right here. You know, if any band deserves to be mainstream, it's this fucking band. This band is like, the thing is, like, Chimera is brutal, they're fucking dark, but they're not even that offensive compared to like what Justin Bieber does to his fans and what he's done. He's a fucking little criminal piece of shit. You know, Miley Cyrus twerking, Nicki Minaj making songs like Looking Ass Niggas. All that shit is way more raunchier and fucked up than what rock and metal has ever done. Alright? And in all honesty, man, it like rock and metal should be mainstream. Fuck all these metalheads and all these posers that say, oh, I don't want it to be mainstream. You know, I want it to be underground and stuff like that. They're fucking dumbasses. Don't you realize if it was mainstream that the world would be better? You fucking dumbasses. If rock and metal were mainstream, the world would be much better. You know, not only music wise, but just in general, man. It would be more like an urban, like an even playing field. You know, it would like seriously, like all this shitty ass Disney pop music and all this shitty ass rap music being mainstream and all this dubstep, whatever. You know, if rock and metal could like come right in there and like basically take away it, because to me the music industry is like a marketplace. It's like a fucking marketplace. Right now you have all that Disney shit and rap dominating the marketplace. It's like Sega and Nintendo dominating the video game market in the early 90s, or WWE having a monopoly over the wrestling industry. You know, if metal got into it, you know, again, because it wouldn't be the first time, but again, if rock and metal could like etch out an identity, and pretty much the mainstream rock and metal is shit. I mean, you're basically talking about like basically a bunch of emo bands, a bunch of pop punk bands that fucking sound gay and fucking whiny as shit. Okay, that to me is just like watered down, pussified rock. That's pussy shit right there. That is pussy. There's a whole shitload of great bands that aren't part of the big four, like Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer, Megadeth, that are not part of the big four that deserve mainstream publicity and attention and radio airtime and all that shit. Like seriously, they deserve to have some of their songs in movie trailers, video game trailers. I mean, I'm watching the Mortal Kombat X trailer the other day, it was about 2 weeks ago now. You know, at E3, and I'm like before E3, and you know, basically they're playing this shitty ass rap song in the. I'm like, Mortal Kombat. When people think of Mortal Kombat, when do they think of like hip hop or rap? Now I could see them playing that type of song in like a Grand Theft Auto or a Saints Row trailer or something like that. But a fucking Mortal Kombat video game, Mortal Kombat, that went from basically being like a more techno to the earlier the 2D games. It was basically a much more techno, electronica type game with like ambient music, like an ambient soundtrack and stuff like that, to basically metal with Deadly Alliance. Ever since Deadly Alliance, Mortal Kombat has had way much more of a metal feel to it, you know, and especially Mortal Kombat 9. That game felt like fucking metal. All right, it felt way more metal than it did rap, and instead it got a shitty rap song in its fucking trailer. That made no fucking sense. But my point is, metal needs to be fucking mainstream again. All right, I don't know what the fuck. You know, some of these people on just overrating like this shitty ass music, not just rap music, but shitty music in general. Like this fucking Taylor Swift garbage. This shit is for pussies. And it ain't even about, you know, rock and metal having to water it down in order to be mainstream. Because you got rappers and shit that sing about sex and drugs and money and all that fucked up shit all the time, and shooting other people. You got all that shit, and they don't have to water it down, so why the fuck should metal have to water it down? That's stupid. That makes no sense. Alright? Like, to me, it's like rock and metal should be mainstream, and good rock and metal, not this emo shit, not this hipster shit. Good rock and metal should be mainstream. Chimera, fucking Killswitch, Seven Dust, all these bands should be getting way more media attention. They should be getting more airtime. They should be making more money and shit. They should be getting more of their music videos played and shit like that, even if it ain't on MTV, because MTV fucking sucks. They should be getting more hits on fucking. They should be promoted by YouTube. Like, I see YouTube promoting Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, Nicki Minaj all the fucking time. Like they're always promoted by YouTube, and I never see them promote like a really good rock and metal band. And if they do, it's some gay shit. It's always like Green Day or some pussified band, some emo bullshit band. And that fucking makes no sense to me. That makes absolutely no sense.